Going into our standing neutral position. Again, it's nice to have a mirror so you can visually see what's going on. But if we're starting out in this position, the first thing we're going to have to do is what we talked about in the last video, a posterior pelvic shift. So you're going to use the mirror to make sure that femur, and you can find it, remember, by rotating the leg and finding where that femur inserts. So we're going to find that femur, and you put your hand on that spot, which also frees up the middle of the rib cage so you can look and see if we're stacked up, right? So we want to get that line so that now our line from our heel to our knee to our hip are in a straight line. From there, we're probably dealing with some form of an anterior tilt. So you can figure out your tilt of your pelvis by putting your thumb on the back. You'll find a little notch on the back of your hip right there. If you come up from your tailbone, you'll find where that pelvis notch is just by putting your hand on the back. And then what you want to do is just wrap your index finger around the crest of the hip, and usually you can find a little notch at the front as well. So you want your hands on the rim of the pelvis, thumb on the back, index finger on the front, and then you can start to see what's happening with your fingers, right? So I've got this tilt down. So even though my hips are now stacked up from the ankle to the hip, I have to do that posterior pelvic tilt in order to get my index finger to a more parallel to the floor position. So from there, now my hips are in the right position. The next thing I want to do is pull my belly button in, and then I'm going to elevate the rib cage. From this position, should look like you're pretty well stacked up from heel to head. So as you do standing neutral practice, you're going to get yourself into this position, and then I want you to hold for about 15 seconds that standing neutral. When you come out of it, don't just relax out of it. Try to slowly and gradually just release all the muscles that you are engaging to stay in position, because this is going to feel like work getting yourself into a new and more upright position. So let's go over it again. We're going to shift our pelvis back so that our hips, knees, and ankles are in a straight line. Then we're going to tilt our pelvis posterior, so that way our pelvis is now neutral. From there, we're drawing our belly button into our spine, and then we're going to elevate the rib cage. So now, as I'm feeling this, I should feel my abdomen engaged. I should feel muscles working in the middle of this upper back area. I probably feel maybe a little bit of a glute contraction, maybe a little bit of contraction in my thighs as I hold this position. So as I go to let go, all I want to do is just gently start to release that tension. So I come out of it. I'm not just going to collapse out of that position. This will help us find ways to stay in this posture more and more throughout the day as we practice.